It's called Collective. I don't see it as like a strictly narrative piece. It's not as if it references anything really directly or tells a story. But I've been working with these caterpillar forms, larval forms anyway, for some time. But the larva is like the quintessential image of impending metamorphosis. But it's also like blind, defenseless. It seems to mirror my own life in a whole lot of ways. There's 29 individual components, each between 36 and 42 inches in length. But carving 29 anythings in the space of 4 months, I felt pretty good about getting that many of them made. This idea started as kind of a nebulous notion in my head, and it's taken about 4 months to really come together and make sense. But this material, no one has ever looked at one of these things and gone, "Oh man, that's 6-pound density rigid urethane foam, I bet," because they just don't have. You can manipulate it to the point where it doesn't have the appearance of what it is. It's super lightweight, it's relatively strong, it's chemically inert. So each of these things weighs less than 2 pounds, most likely. As human beings, we all go through periods of life. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and you watch the transformation from infant to toddler to preteen to teen to, and so even we as humans go through these stages of life, but they're not dramatically marked. In insects, they're so the transformation from larva to adult is enormous. And then at some point I'll have to start doing some of the bent ones, and that's where it'll get really kind of crazy. Careful to kind of make these things subtle so it doesn't, so they're not just really like hard lines on them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it's got it. The space is curious. The space is 12 feet wide by 48 feet long by roughly 4 stories on one side and about 2.5, 3 stories on the other. So the curator there, Olivia Las Gonzalez, had asked me to do something in this space, and it's not a space you could just put a sculpture in. So it seemed the only way to work in this space was to sort of activate the space and work with the space, you know, rather than using it as a space in which to show sculpture, having to sort of do a piece almost site-specifically, you know, something specific. Growing up in the South, we have a thing called a tent caterpillar. It's they build a huge nest that looks like a giant spider web. They love cherry trees, and when the eggs hatch and the caterpillars are mature enough to move, they all emerge from this nest. They're blind. They lay down a chemical trail for one another to follow, and they move in single file and traverse a huge distance. And you know, everything's an obstacle for these creatures because they're like this big. So anything they encounter, they have to sort of snake and figure what to do with. And all of this stuff, to me, really relates to the human condition.